Are you sick of the propaganda and overregulations? We know we are. Vaping saves lives.
What up, beautiful people? So, I'm here today with my beautiful wife, Leanne,
Hello.
and we're here to talk about last Saturday. We were down in Toronto at Queen's Park. We got a little bit of video, but as I was going over the footage, I realized there was a lot of background noise. This was really the first time either of us did anything like this on our own, where we just went out and started talking to people and recorded it. So it's all brand new to us. We're still learning. So the clips that I wanted to share, there isn't as many as I was gonna be able to share. So what I thought we would do is kind of talk about a little bit what we did last weekend, and go over a little bit what was in the magazine that we were handing out. So this is a 24-page color magazine full of published medical literature from credible sources. There's also a couple of articles, some things from other organizations, like there's Vape World in there. I've put in there, uh, at the very end, we had the Flavor Tobacco Kills campaign, and on the back we had Rights for Vapors, we have Vape World, and we have Reg Watch. This was just the first edition. It was done literally within a couple days. I threw it together, called up the printing people, had them printed out. I had as many as I could get printed in a couple days done. So I think we had like what 100 done or something like that. I had a hundred.
Critic.
Yeah, I had 100 of them printed out, 24 pages each, and it actually is going over pretty well. So some of the things that are in here, the first couple articles deal with news articles talking about how many people have quit smoking using an e-cigarette in a year or over a few years. So that's what the first couple pages are about. The next one starts going into the health effects, actual published medical literature. So this one is the 3.5 years follow-up study on never smokers who are using e-cigs regularly, and it showed no measurable lung damage. This is the secondhand vape systematic review, air sampling studies. This is the COPD 5-year follow-up, harm reversal for asthmatic smokers. This one is the stats showing grade 12 smokers dropping 35% in a couple of years when e-cigarettes started getting popular. Showing alcohol with flavors kills 4,300 teens in their teen years. Nicotine e-cigarettes, 0 in 15 years, no one. No adults, no one. Regulated, when used properly, has harmed no one. Article about cancer deaths. This was from January of this year in the New York Post. And it states that in 2018, there was a 2.4% drop in cancer deaths, which was transitioning to about 3.2 million lives saved. 1 year. 1 year. So this is all the kind of data that I had in it. We were out there talking to people. We didn't get a lot of people on camera. We had more interviews off camera than we did on camera, right?
I took a clip of you, two groups, and then I'd say half. Two groups we did, and two groups we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So about 50-50. I've been handing these magazines out to. No, we did more, right? But there was a few that we didn't talk long to. We just
No.
told them about the magazine and
Pretty
gave them the
much.
magazine too, right?
Yeah.
So all the studies in here have a QR code that they can scan, and it'll literally bring them right to the actual study for each one. So they can look for themselves and see exactly what it says. Not just I just put on the pages the results and the conclusions of each one of the studies, but I also added the link, and also it shows the link on top. So they have both choices. They can either manually type in that link or just scan the QR code, and it will take them to that study. We seem to get pretty good reception.
We did.
You
And
know,
the weather was nice too.
yeah. Well, it was pretty rainy at first,
At
which
first,
was
but
probably why we didn't see a lot of people out there, because at the time we got there, it had just finished only raining for about an hour. So there wasn't a crap ton of people there, but there was a fair amount of people there.
at least it wasn't cold. Though.
Yeah, it was nice. It was still nice. Uh, yeah, so we got pretty good reception, and one of the main things that we hear back from people is, "Oh, I didn't know that." "Oh,
Exactly.
I didn't know that." Especially when you get to the back of the magazine, which has talks about the vitamin E acetate, which actually, surprisingly, a lot of people actually did hear something about the vitamin E acetate. They weren't 100% aware of the exact details, which I was able to get into for them, but
Yeah, but they heard of it.
they heard of it. So they more and more people are starting to hear about what really caused the problem, which is good, but we shouldn't be just hearing about it. They shouldn't be just hearing about it. The government's, it's been what, 2 years, a year and a half since that happened now?
Yeah.
And still no mention about it on our government. So this is the published lab study where it shows that vitamin E acetate is not soluble in nicotine e-liquids. So once we start getting into the back, it gets more into, this is the You Don't Know Nicotine movie. If you have not seen this movie, I highly recommend it. This is where I get most of my information from. Dr. Paul Newhouse, Dr. Neil Benowitz, and Dr. Raymond Naira, over the last 30 years, I've been studying nicotine outside of combustion and right on people's minds and stuff like that. And it is not what people think. I don't care. I'm going to say it. It's controversial. A lot of people, even in our industry, are going to say that's not right. Nicotine's not addictive.
No, it's not.
I said it. Nicotine is not addictive.
No.
It is dependence forming to those who benefit from the cognitive effects of it. So, if your brain is being rewired and helping you with your stress, anxiety, ADHD, Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, any kind of that brain function problem, you are going to continue to use it. Just like somebody who uses blood pressure medication to re-regulate their blood pressure. My wife is on blood pressure medication. Prior to using it, every single day almost, she was migraines galore.
Yeah.
Ever since she's taken that medication, I have rarely heard her talk about a migraine headache. It re-regulated her blood and allowed her to function properly on a daily. If she stops taking that medication, it's going to make her feel bad again. Is she addicted to it? No. She's dependent on it to help her function properly every day. So people that use it for things like ADHD, stress, anxiety, those kind of things, it helps rewire their brains so they can focus and concentrate and be able to do and function normally on a daily. When people smoke nicotine in tobacco, that comes with thousands of chemicals that are super addictive and keep you smoking specifically. It is not the nick in the cigarette. That's what we want because it helps our brain. It's all the other things in the cigarette that keep us smoking. Once people get off cigarettes and they get onto e-cigarettes and they've totally 100% got off the addiction of smoking, always, they want less nicotine. What addiction wants less? There is zero addictions that I know of that you want less of. Addictions want more. So people that vape and do not cognitively benefit from the nicotine effects might like the stimulating effects for a little bit, but once that goes away, which it does pretty quickly, they just don't really use it anymore. It gets boring to them and they stop using it. It is not reinforcing for them to keep on going, ooh, I just want to keep on getting stimulated by Nick, because it goes away. It doesn't happen all the time. If you're using it all the time, you don't get that stimulation after a little bit. So it goes away, and then they just stop using it.
Well, that's because your body.
And easily, how many times have I seen people come into this shop, that used 50 that said, oh man, I haven't been using it for months. I was using it then, I just didn't really want to, and now I just want to use it again. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. People drink every once in a while. People eat fast food every once in a while. People eat sugar every once in a while. All those are addictive drugs that actually cause a lot of harm to society. Caffeine, not so much. Caffeine is kind of a cognitive thing like nicotine, actually. That's why people drink it in the morning. Don't bother me until I have my coffee. It makes them alert and aware and ready to go. There is a real difference between enjoying something and being addicted to something. And like heroin and smoking, you constantly want more of that.
That's
And you and when you want to stop it, you can't. You just can't stop it. And you're so addicted to it, you use it and you use more and more and more until it kills you,
pretty much.
right? With vaping, people easily stop. Even the teens. Look at all the stories you hear about them. Since all the propaganda has been out about e-cigarettes. Oh, I quit within a day. I just threw it in the garbage. Oh, I quit within a week. Oh, I just gave it up. It wasn't that hard really within a week after I just stopped using it. But a smoking teen, they weren't just stopping smoking. They weren't just giving it up. They weren't just not bothered by it. Those teens continued to smoke. Vaping saved those teens' lives as well. They were the future cancer, lung, and heart disease patients. That's why all these organizations are focused on them, because those are the future ones that are going to be making them the money. They're already making the money off the adults that are sick from smoking. They're already
Yeah, but
making
they gotta
that
keep
money.
making it after
Yeah.
we're gone.
Yeah, but once we're gone, wow, they gotta have their future customers too. They Everything they try to use against us is really what they are trying to do. It's like they're flipping the script because they feel guilty about it, so they're gonna blame us for it to keep everybody looking at the e-cig industry. Meanwhile, this industry ID'd for smoking age years before there was any law that required us to.
Yeah.
I know because I was ID'd and I was in my 30s, and then I started working in a shop and IDing myself.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know, and I've been to many. I wasn't like I went to one. I went to many shops around this area. All of
Pretty
them
sure I was
ID'd.
ID'd too.
Yeah, all of them ID'd. It was once it got into the convenience stores. That's where I got my cigarettes when I was a kid. Some shady convenience store that didn't give a crap about selling to minors. Everybody knew it. I know where my vape shop is that sells to minors because when they're of age, guess where they go? To the legit vape shop, and then they say, yeah, I went to there, but they rip us off. They charge us like double and triple. Pretty sad, right? Not only are they breaking the law, they are gouging and robbing teens. How sick is that? I'm literally a block away from two schools. I've been here 5 years. Not one infraction. Not one. The other place is nowhere near any schools and has like 10.
Yep.
But yet they're still existing. What kind of enforcement is that? And then that same person has the nerve to come to my shop and tell me you're not allowed to have vape shop on your sign. No. No. That's not happening, guys. Anyways, that is a whole different topic. I just wanted to let you guys know about everything, the stance of how I feel. And I know a lot of you might not agree with it right now. Watch the movie. Look at what those 3 doctors have studied and found out over the last 30 years. It's not about opinions anymore, guys. Opinion is what got us here in the first place. So, I am going with the data. And if you say nicotine is addictive, prove it. Prove it. Because the data that I have says you're wrong. 30 years of it says you're wrong. I'm not trying to be antagonistic here, guys. I'm just following the truth, and I'm sick and tired of opinion outranking the facts. I understand. I was misled for a long time too. I kept on saying, yeah, nicotine can be addictive. It's not. I'm no longer saying that. Nicotine is dependence forming when you benefit from the cognitive effects.
Hmm.
Straight up. That's how it works. If you don't benefit, you're not going to stay using it. People don't. That's why nobody walks around with a body full of nick patches or chewing 6-pack of nicotine gum.
How silly would
It,
we
it
look?
just doesn't happen. Oh, and so this magazine is no longer going to be this magazine. It is now getting changed into called Head in the Clouds. There's going to be interviews with doctors, people that quit vaping in there, more science, but it's going to be a lot better put together. This one, like I said, I just threw it together in 2 days and then had it all printed out in 3 days, and then I was at the park the next day. So I didn't have a lot of time, but this time I'm going to
He
do it.
accomplished a lot, though,
Yeah.
guys, from what little time he had.
Yep. We're gonna do it, guys. Finished.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Right. All right, guys. Anyways, I'm done here. Here's a little bit of the video of the clips of last Saturday. So hope you enjoy the little bit I had. You'll see why. You'll see there was a lot of background noise. Some people walked in with like loudspeakers of music
Which I
going.
tried. I tried.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Sorry.
It's life. All right, we're down at Queen's Park. We've had a nice little talk with quite a few people down here. It's a little empty right now. There was a lot more people about an hour ago. Exactly. So the last 30 years, since they've taken nicotine out of tobacco and put it in gums, patches, vaping, and snus, they've done all the studies on it. They have these machines that rate our brainwaves, and they found it is actually more like a cognitive medicine for people. So there's actually it helps with stress, anxiety, depression, Parkinson's disease, Tourette syndrome, short-term memory loss, concentration and focus, ADHD, withdrawal, weight loss, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's disease.
And this is because of
nicotine. So what it does, we have what's called nicotinic receptors in our brains, and when we use nic, it helps rewire our brain. So people that have those brain symptoms, it helps them rewire that.
cognitive, they're more cognitive.
Yeah, cognitive medicine. But tobacco is a big profit. Government, big tobacco, but not only big tobacco. Our biggest enemy, people think big tobacco is our enemy. No, it's actually big pharma. So they have.
How about the cannabis industry, no?
They're good with us. It's really,
but that's genetically modified.
yeah, and so like big like Heart and Stroke Association, they have all the quit smoking programs. On top of that, they have all the medications and everything for all the heart diseases that you get from smoking, right? So smoking, no one's getting sick from smoking. Those orange stops getting billions of dollars every year. People going to the smoking programs, right?
So it's an educational process.
Yeah, it's insane. So that's why we're having this problem right now. So people like that are smoking like that, basically you can get sick. But it's the more people that are smoking like 2 that need the 30s and the 40s and the 50s to get off of the bank. They're going to leave tobacco in it that nobody uses, but all the ones that actually work, they're getting rid of. So they go back to smoking. Yeah. So they go back to smoking. They get tax revenue. On top of that, they tobacco profit, and that's more tax
Wondering how they let that one go.
And then,
That's one of the main
our biggest enemy is actually big pharma. So Canadian Lung Association, Heart and Stroke Association, organized by billions of dollars a year. Because then if nobody's dying, they are irrelevant. Right? So first couple ones is how many people have been quitting smoking. So 50,000 people in 1 year, 18,000 people in another year, 6.1 million people over a few years. In the last 15 years, there's been tens of millions of people that quit smoking. So, and then over the last 15 years, there's been actual published medical journals about e-cigarettes. So here's 3.5 years of never smokers vaping. After 3.5 years, there was zero measurable damage to the lungs. After 1 week of smoking, damage to the lungs. Here is a study for secondhand vape. So they were in vape shops doing air sampling tests, and it was so cloudy you could not see each other standing in front. It was cleaner breathed in the air when they tested it right outside of the shop. Yeah. And that's in these. There's a couple different shops that found that. Yeah, so people with COPD had smoking-related COPD. Yeah. So
They're saying no because they lost all that.
Yeah, brother. So we're killing them, bro. And that is why they are coming after us. Grade 12, the youth vaping epidemic is what everybody's hearing about. But grade 12 daily smokers in 2 years have dropped 35%.
They say it's hard to
Yeah, they're trying to.
So is there a lot of artificial flavors in vaping?
It's all artificial flavors.
but it's just
So,
damaging, as you said, or
so there has been toxicology studies.
yeah.
And everything that we do, right now as we're talking, we're breathing in formaldehyde, we're breathing in toxic metals, we're breaking in all that shit. Yeah. So what really matters is how much exposure from the e-cigarette are we getting. We have, 100 years ago when smoking first came out, they didn't have all these workplace safety standards, medical safety standards that we could compare to. So now we have all those things like WIMS, MSDS, all that kind of stuff, and we know that how much we can be exposed to certain toxins, right? So when we do the toxicology studies on e-cigarettes, and compare it to things like our asthma inhalers that also produce toxic metals into our lungs, there's a standard that they're tested against. Even at 1,200 puffs a day, so the average vapor is taking anywhere from 300 to 500 puffs a day on an e-cigarette. So even at 1,200 puffs a day, our medical inhalers can still produce 2 to 3 times more metals into our lungs and be safe to inhale by medical safety standards. So there's things like that. There is no, Dr. Farsalinos, he's a Greek cardiologist. He's been a long time.
How many people have been killed now?
0.
Oh no, they haven't shot anyone?
One person in San Francisco got tased for vaping in public.
No, I'm saying about the industry. Is anyone been
No.
charged?
No,
Big
not-
Pharma hasn't come down.
Not as of yet. However, me standing here right now, talking to you, if like a TEO came by, I could get fined up to $1 million, tobacco enforcement officer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I can get fined up to $1 million or 2 years in jail. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't give a fuck. I will fucking fortify that hill and stand on it. They can go fuck it. 10, 15 years ago was it, when the MSA and everything came out? The whole reason they actually sued Big Tobacco was because they found out that they added all these addictive chemicals.
They did.
Telling
Yeah,
them,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So there's one called, so literally when you're smoking, you're pulling in a cocktail of psychoactive drugs.
Psychoactive?
Yeah, one of them is called monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or MAOI.
Alcohol,
Yeah.
tobacco, same thing, coffee, but anyways.
So what the MAOI specifically does is nicotine activates dopamine in our brain, but our brain produces a natural chemical that automatically breaks that down easily and gets rid of it. The MAOIs stop our brain from producing that chemical, which keeps the dopamine and the nicotine active in our brain a lot longer, and that's why we start becoming more addicted to cigarettes and stuff like that. Yeah. Since they've taken the nic out, they've found that it is more like a cognitive medicine. So people that don't generally benefit from the cognitive effects. So like in the last 30 years, they found that nicotine outside of combustion will help with.
Yeah, but what about the tobacco and Indian reserve? Does it have these additives as well?
100%, yeah.
That's hard to
Really?
do.
So nic has been proven over the last 30 years to help with stress, anxiety, depression, Parkinson's, Tourette's.
They said the Indians say that it's actually medicinal.
Get that.
It's both deodorized.
Smokers with COVID. So the data has been coming out. People that smoke, with the data that's been coming out so far, they are 50% less likely to catch COVID in the first place. And if they do, they're 90% less likely to end up in the ICU. So they're thinking actually more, it's not really so much to do with the smoking, but because nicotine and COVID both SARS-CoV-2 both interacts with our ACE2 receptor, that people that are using nicotine.
Yeah.
It's not so. It's not all just the tobacco too. A lot has to do with combustion. The act of the combusting and burning materials into our lungs automatically causes a lot of damage to our lungs. We can smoke a pack a day of cigarettes, but stand in the middle of a house fire and you'll drop dead, right? So like, it's all about exposure. Yeah, it's all about exposure to what you're doing, right? So
What's the bottom line then? Just e-cigarettes?
So basically, I'm not up for banning anything. If people want to smoke, that's their choice. But I don't think that the best method to get people off cigarettes should be banned, and then cigarettes still be left in.
And when are they doing it?
So July 22nd is when the nic cap comes.
The what?
The nicotine cap. So they right now.
E-cigarettes have to
Regular cigarettes.
Yeah. No, nicotine or e-cigarettes. So
These.
right now you can get up to about 50 milligrams of nicotine in e-juices. Those are more for like 3-pack a day smoke. Now some people
So you
just
say
say
if you smoke that, you're going to like
quit.
But if you do 20,
You're gonna not get enough satisfaction out of
you're
it,
gonna what?
and you're just gonna be fuck this thing and smoke, right? So if you're getting satisfaction from your vape and you're getting enough nic,
See the whole switch over? They
Yeah.
want to bring you back.
yeah. So the thing is people think, well, why would I start vaping? I'm just starting a new habit, but really you're still doing nicotine that you're doing in a cigarette. So you're doing less habit because you're getting rid of the thousands of deadly chemicals and just sticking with the nic that you actually want.
So what makes that pack today going again? You said that chemical.
So
It's not the
MAOI,
nicotine.
monoamine oxidase inhibitors, or MAOI. That's one of the many.
And they put it in.
That's why they got sued in the first place. That's why the whole
You could say that with any. They put on my foods, you know, the chips, they put their dopamine things. I can eat a bag. I don't know if you're that OCD type. I can eat, smoke bags, eat everything.
Exactly.
Then you're going to get a big return back to cigarettes.
And I think what it really comes down to is because they can't really have an excuse to tax the crap.
So he explains how vape by 50
black
milligrams
market,
in their vaping.
all the vaping lung injuries you've heard about.
Telling everyone your lungs aren't being damaged.
Vitamin E acetate.
You're there to same thing.
They're selling that on the black
Say,
market, and those
they're
people
bringing
vape
people
oil,
back to smoking.
which our lungs are water soluble, and vape oil or smoke oils or inhale oil. Period. It was collapsed because black burns on your lungs. So that's what they were finding out. Chemical burns, people's lungs collapsing because they were selling black market drugs, right? Or vaping black market drugs.
They're probably going to.
I've been circling around.
Well, they already are coming for the NIC. It starts on the 22nd of July. The flavor ban was.
Were you there when they arrived at Denver?
Gazette, but in 6 months they'll come for it. On the next one they drop, they'll come for it. They don't care. We've been doing this for 15 years. Like when Kathleen Wynne was in charge, the whole reason most of us voted for Ford was because him and Christina Elliott said we were most fucking vaping. They're like, okay, we're gonna vote for these guys instead of the liberals who are trying to ban it already, right? So we had all the rallies and everything like that, and did it all, right? So. Anyways, folks, we are gonna be out again
Next weekend.
next Saturday. The last Saturday it was just me, my wife, and Tony Chiquetto. It's supposed to be us three again. I have a few more other people interested. Herrick said possibly that he wants to be there. So we'll see,
Numbers are
guys.
important.
Yeah.
Are you sick of the propaganda and overregulations? We know we are. Vaping saves lives.